Hi everyone, welcome back. So thus far, we've been speaking about how to move into the ultimate state of human existence. We spoke about the pillars of being happy in the now and the pillar of having a vision for the future. Today and for the next 4 days, we're going to go deep into the pillar of creating a vision for your future. Now, I know what you're thinking. Those of you who show up to these programs, you guys already are fairly ambitious. You guys already have a vision for your future. Why then pay attention to me for the next 4 days? Well, what I'm going to suggest is that many of us set the wrong vision. We chase goals which are actually a means to an end rather than the end goals themselves. And when you understand how to go from means goals to end goals, you actually accelerate your movement towards what you really want. We'll be covering this shortly. But first, I want to share with you why this idea here is so important. All of us need a vision for our future. Human beings are unique in the animal kingdom because we are goal-setting machines. We need goals. We need things to pull us forward. To live a goalless life is to live a life lacking meaning and happiness. And every time we hit a goal, there's a chemical hit in our brain that actually gives us a spark of bliss and happiness. But that's not all. I believe that we are also souls having a human experience. And our souls have certain things that they are here to learn and certain things that they are here to bring forth into the world. What you're going to learn is an exercise that helps you set goals which are aligned with your soul so that the outside voices, they stop shoving and pushing you around and guiding you into the wrong direction. The fact is, if you look at the world today, it's kind of messed up. In a study by Gallup, 87% of employees dislike their jobs. They are not engaged at work. Think about that for a moment. If you're in the 13%, you should feel really proud. But odds are that even if you're in the 13%, you may want to accelerate the rate at which you are attaining goals in your jobs and in life. This is what we're going to be talking about. To understand this huge mistake that we make as a species, we first have to understand end goals versus mean goals. Now, to illustrate this, let me tell you a story. I was once teaching a class in New York City, and at the end of this class, a woman came up to me and she said, "Vishen, I love everything you're talking about in terms of using our mind to bend reality. So you're telling me I can use my mind to become a faster typist?" And I said, "Yeah, faster typist, sure. If you really want to become a faster typist, go ahead. But let me ask you this," I asked her. "Why do you want to become a faster typist? Do you love the touch of the keyboard on your fingers? Is that just like a fetish? Is that something you like doing?" She goes, "No, I actually dislike being a typist, but why I need to be a faster typist is because I'm compensated for how fast I type. And if I type faster, I can produce more documents faster and I get paid more." So I go, what you really want is not to become a faster typist, but to get paid more. She goes, "Yes, I need to increase my hourly rate." So I asked her, "Well, why do you want to increase your hourly rate?" She goes, "Okay, well, the reason is right now I'm just barely breaking even in life. I need to improve my savings." So I say, "Okay, why do you need to improve your savings?" She goes, "I need to improve my savings because I live here in New York and my mom lives in Detroit and I want us to live together, but my mom is unemployed." I go, "Okay, great. So you want your mom with you in New York. Why do you want your mom with you in New York?" And that's when it hit her. She said, "Look, I want money to be able to move my mom from Detroit to New York because my mom lives in a very unsafe neighborhood. And at the same time, my mom lives in this house with all of these beautiful antiques and heirlooms of our family that go all the way back to the Civil War. And what we want to do is we want to move to New York, bring this rich family history with us. We want to have a beautiful apartment where we can live together, decorated with all of these family heirlooms that we have so well preserved for hundreds of years. And when I have kids, I want them to grow up in this beautiful apartment with the rich history of their family and their grandmother by their side." And I go, "That's it. You just hit on what you really want. Why on earth were you trying to become a faster typist?" You see, this woman confused the means with the end. What she really wanted was this beautiful end goal of being in this apartment with her family history, a place where she can eventually have kids, having her mom with her, knowing that her kids are going to grow up with their grandma in that same apartment. But in her mind, she did what so many other people did. She tried to bring that forward to a simple, boring act, become a faster typist. An act that didn't inspire her or bring her bliss. She had confused the means with the end. The lesson here is that what you want to do is to skip the means in terms of your goal list and understand that your mind will shortcut the process. It will find better ways to get to that end goal that you can conclude with your logical mind. This is the difference between setting goals that are means goals and setting goals which are end goals. Now, here's where this plays out in the world. I had a friend growing up when I went to university in Michigan. Brilliant guy. Graduated from law at Cambridge, graduated from law from Harvard, and decided he was going to become a lawyer. And I remember as we went to college together, he wanted to become a lawyer because he wanted to do good in the world. He wanted to save the world. He wanted to contribute to the betterment of humankind. Then he actually became a lawyer. And it was so much hard work that his marriage collapsed. His health collapsed. He had a Harvard degree and a degree from Cambridge. He lived in Boston. And his life was so filled with stress that we could no longer even find time to see each other. Long story short, he quit being a lawyer and decided to go into something completely different, something that actually gave him joy. He decided to become an artist. Now, what was going on in my friend's life? Why did he spend so many years chasing a goal that didn't actually spark joy in him? Well, once again, he was chasing the means goal rather than the end goal. If you look at the way our society is built, we fall into these grand myths. From the time we are kids, we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we say the usual things, right? Doctor, lawyer, fireman, engineer. However, the problem is, what the hell do kids know? And then when we become teens, again, what the hell do we know? But we, at the age of 17 or 18, if you're in the American education system, go to a university and then have to try to figure out your career before you can legally buy a beer. I decided I became an engineer because that was what I thought was possible for me. I had no idea that I'd end up becoming a writer, a meditation teacher, designing my own festival, running a company in the field of personal growth. All of these were beyond my field of possibility and my field of realizing what was truly possible for me. Yet, most of us are brainwashed to follow into these laid out paths as if this really keeps us safe. But what it really leads to is so many people waking up one day at the age of 40 going, what the hell happened to my life? And it's why Gallup finds that 87% of the world is dissatisfied with their job. In short, dissatisfied with where they end up. So let's look back at lawyers. I love picking on lawyers because, as you know, I was selling technology in the legal industry and I had so many lawyers tell me to fuck off. So I love you lawyers, but I do want to share this statistic. America has 5% of the world population, but 70% of the world's lawyers. So many people study so hard, go into so much depth to pass their LSAT, the exam required to get into law school, to go to law school, to put so much money into getting that law degree, to become a partner in a firm, to work crazy hours to succeed at that firm, only to find that they are depressed. In fact, the depression rate among lawyers is approaching 50%. In one study, 50% of women lawyers in America are clinically depressed. Why is it that so many people go into a career that is a 50% depression rate? Again, they are blindly following the means goals. We want to get you out of this trap. So what are means goals? Means goals are goals that often have a so in them. I want to do good in high school, so I get into a good university. So I become the lawyer or the doctor or the engineer. So I have a steady salary. So I can afford my own place. The so is a sign that you're dealing with a means goal. The second aspect of means goals is that means goals are often about conforming to the rules or bullshit rules of society. Why become a lawyer? Because your dad was a lawyer. Why become an engineer? Because your Indian grandfather suggested that this was the path to get rich. But is that really speaking to your heart? Or are you buying into a cultural expectation? Now, end goals are different. End goals are what that typist was really going for. End goals have two distinct qualities about them. Number one, end goals are about following your heart. When that typist spoke to me about being in that apartment with her mom, being in a place where she knows she's going to raise her kids, having those family heirlooms around her, that came from the heart. But choosing to become a better typist, that came from the mind. That was her mind trying to figure out what she had to do next to survive. End goals come from the heart. Second, end goals are about feeling. Here's the great trick of people who are expert manifestors. They don't get obsessed with objects or situations. They get obsessed with feelings. You know a goal is an end goal because it's tied to a feeling. Many of us are not trained to set goals for feelings. But imagine if my lawyer friend had set a goal. I wake up every day feeling so happy and blissful about my life. Maybe he would have accelerated himself coming out of law and becoming that artist because that is what made him blissful. Maybe if he set a goal about feelings of love, I'm so surrounded by love and I'm in such a beautiful relationship, maybe he might have taken the right actions to avoid the messy divorce he went through. You see what I mean? We fail to set goals for feelings, but feelings are often what we really want in life. So end goals are often about what your heart wants you to do and about setting goals for feelings. Now, why aim for end goals? If you believe the idea that we are souls having a human experience, then you might also believe in the idea of souls having a particular direction or path that they want to get on, or even the idea of soulmates. Now, let's look at it from this perspective. A mother once came to me and said, Vishen, can you teach my kid how to get into Princeton University? And I said, absolutely not. And she goes, why? He really wants to get to Princeton. This is what I explained to that mother. I said, look, what if your son has a soulmate that they are meant to meet? What if that soulmate is not in Princeton? What if that soulmate is in Yale or Harvard or Columbia or somewhere else? What if your son is meant to meet his future business partner, but that person isn't in Princeton? I'd be putting your son on the wrong path. Rather, what I can teach your son to do is to get into the university that is right for him, irregardless of whatever the American society label is of what is a good university. So what does your son want from university? And she went on to describe, she had a son with her in my class. He wanted to be in a university where he could make great friends. He wanted to be in a university where he would create connections that would be lifelong, even after graduating. He knew he had the right people in his life around him. He wanted to be able to study something that he was truly passionate about. And I said, good, those are the end goals. Focus on that. Princeton is a means goal. You see, by focusing on the means goal, we might even derail ourselves from the path we're meant to be on. By focusing on the end goal, we trust our soul to guide us to be at the place we are meant to be. So whether it applies to university application or even to dating, I often tell people don't get obsessed with that one person you want to be in a relationship with. Rather, identify what are the qualities you want in a relationship. Get really clear on the man or woman or the feeling you want to have when you wake up every day next to this person, and let the universe unfold the right person towards you. So, how do we shortcut towards end goals? Remember our previous lesson on happiness, when we took the word happiness and we broke it up into 3 different parts. Happiness from experiences, happiness from growth, and happiness from meaning. This is the clue. What we're going to do is set end goals in 3 of these buckets. We're going to set end goals for the experiences you want to have in life, the places you want to travel to, the home you want to live in, the feelings you want to have every morning when you wake up. Those are experiences, and they help move you towards happiness. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set end goals for how you want to grow. You're going to set end goals for the person you want to become. And shortly, you'll see why this is so important. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to set end goals that help you attain meaning. And the trick here is to set end goals for what you want to contribute to the world. Now, you're going to do this exercise using a simple sheet. You're going to take an A4 size of paper, which is the typical type of paper that you would use in a printer or in a photocopy machine. And you're going to draw 2 columns on this paper and make a line on top. The end result will look something like this. What you're seeing here are sample 3MIQ sheets from members of my team. Now, there's a magic to this exercise I cannot explain, but millions of people around the world have so far done this exercise. It got popular around 9 years ago when I released a video on it, and the American Management Association tweeted it to all of its members. Before I knew it, this exercise was being used in schools in India, Canada, the US, and Mexico. Check out this picture of a school teacher in India doing this very same exercise with rural kids in a classroom that doesn't even have a roof or walls. Companies, including my own, do this exercise with our employees because it helps people get really clear on who they want to be. And the reason this is so important is because this exercise activates magic. Let's go back to some of the sheets I showed you earlier. This is Ronan Diego. Ronan works at Mindvalley, and I want you to look at what he wrote down when he first did this exercise. Inspire people to follow their dreams. Have a healthy, strong, ripped body. Speak at a TED Talk. Become a famous public speaker. Have a super efficient mind focused on doing the right thing. Have a broad knowledge about healthy and bodybuilding nutrition. Inspiring people all over the world to go for their dreams. Notice the beauty of these end goals and what he wrote. Now, what's funny is that when Ronan wrote this, he was a scrawny kid from Brazil. Today, Ronan is at a completely different level. Ronan ended up running and competing in the Viper Challenge, a truly grueling race. He came out number 1 out of tens of thousands of competitors. He ended up getting a job to run Mindvalley's health and fitness division. Today, Ronan is seriously ripped. And not only is he seriously ripped and healthy, notice he also wrote about his passion for teaching and speaking. Magic began to happen. After Ronan won the Viper Challenge, he got invited to speak at a local TEDx. His talk was so good, he got invited to travel to Paris to speak at another TEDx, once again nailing it. And just next month, Ronan is speaking at a massive 3,000-person entrepreneurial festival in Sharjah. Ronan gave his mind a directive of the person he wanted to be, and magic happened. Now check out this sheet. This is from Jason Campbell. When Jason wrote this, he was a young kid from Canada who had just joined Mindvalley. He said, I want to build a team of employees, manage them, and do epic shit. I want to become a world-class speaker. I want to be a better manager and delegator. I want to teach entrepreneurship, sales, and living awesome. Now, Jason was at one of my events, and he was running the backstage logistics. In other words, the AV, the music, the sound. And at that particular event, a speaker fell ill. Jason came to me and said, Vishen, I've been working on this talk. It's a 20-minute talk. Could I get on stage? And I explained to Jason, I'm sorry, Jason, but this event is for world-class speakers. And then he said the magic word. He said, Vishen, this isn't my 3MIQ. And you really love supporting your people with their 3MIQ. Maybe you'd support me. I knew I couldn't say no. So I put Jason on stage. At the end of the event, Jason was voted best speaker. He wasn't even meant to be there. Magic happened. Now, the magic continued to happen. Jason ended up becoming the host of Mindvalley's Impact at Work, Mindvalley's channel for teaching, get this, entrepreneurship, sales, and living awesome. Exactly what he put down on his 3MIQ. It took around 3 to 4 years for all of these pieces to unfold, but Ronan, Jason, they're living their dream. So you see, something happens. There is this power within us. We don't have to always know how to make our dream life happen. But when we start getting clear about what we want and listen to our soul, the universe unfolds in magical ways and sets us along the right path. Tomorrow, you are going to begin taking this step. So here's what I want you to do today. Find that piece of paper. Create the framework for the 3 most important questions. Tomorrow, we begin filling this sheet out. For today, I want you to keep up with your practices. In the morning, practice gratitude, practice segment intending. All of this is going to be essential as we move forward. I'll see you tomorrow.